I'm sorry for how loud it is here. I normally do not record here ever at all. Because of how loud it is here and stuff. Because it's a bunch of college kids. Um, and they get loud. But it's been too eventful for me to not record. So, I've been coming out to like all my family and stuff. And, um, I came out to my, little sister. And she decided that, it was difficult for her at first, to understand and stuff, and she wanted to ask a lot of questions about trans stuff in general, and she had a lot of misunderstandings about some things and stuff, um, like gender expression versus gender dysphoria and stuff like that. And she eventually was like, "Yeah, I love you, brother." She eventually decided she was good with it. Um, and it's interesting because I told my birth mother. My birth mother currently is living with my baby sister, and my baby sister and her husband were like super, cool about it, but my birth mother is very, very religious, like to kind of, I think I've said it before, Westboro Baptist kind of levels of religion. And um, at first, she was like, "Oh, hails no," kind of thing. I want doctor documents and I want you to prove it and all this stuff. And I was like, no. I mean, I don't even know if I have that crap. But even besides that, I've seen it and that's good enough for me. And she's like, well, I haven't seen it, so it's not good enough for me. I don't care if it's good enough for you. And I was like, I don't care if it's good enough for you. It's about me. It's not about you. And so then she was like, but she's backed down a little bit and stuff. Uh, she was more disgruntled about it. And then you know, I started saying it's about my mental health. My mental health is more important to me than my physical health at this point, and my physical health would also improve if I transitioned. So it's everything because I already produce extra testosterone, so I already have a hormonal imbalance. Taking the testosterone and getting a hysterectomy would give me a hormonal balance. So I would lose a lot of health issues that I currently have because of hormones being out of whack. So, you know, it's irritating when someone like is like, "Oh, the functionality that your body has that you have no choice over that you were born with obviously is a spiritual issue." No, it's not. Um, but she started going on about how, she remembers some changes when I was in puberty, but she doesn't remember from when I was a kid me acting that way and stuff, more masculine and wishing I was a boy and everything. And I was like, well, I've always led a double life. And she's like, oh, well, that's because of all this societal pressure I felt because I was a teenager when I started having kids, and everyone expected me to be this perfect mother, and I was constantly trying, and even when other people's kids behaved worse than you, they always were griping to me about my mothering and, all this stuff. And she started talking more and more about it, and she does this. She, she can't relate to you until she's related it to her own life. Like, she just, that's how she is. Everything is about her. Like, oh, you're doing well in school. That's because I taught you this when you were little. Oh, you're struggling in life. Well, that's probably because, like my life reflects like this and this is my struggles. So maybe you gleaned that from my struggles. But anyway, that's just how she is. Um, she, kept talking about it and kept talking about it. And I could hear her getting upset. And I was like, that's how I feel every single day. And I want you to hold on to that feeling and know that that's how I feel from everything that's external, all these expectations to try to force myself to be more girly and to be more, feminine so it's more comfortable for people, to flat out change the tone of my voice and how I like giggle and stuff, trying to sound more cute and sweet instead of just being my deep voice that I have naturally, you know, like trying to alter myself to fit people's expectations, and then on top of that tiptoeing not just around people and external things, but tiptoeing around my internal self and my depression and my constant dissociation from myself. And if I'm aware of myself too much for even a few seconds, having a panic attack because of my own, like, inability to process my own body and my own appearance and my own, like, anything that is not male. And I have to tiptoe around both things constantly my entire life and try so hard to fit into all these stupid boxes. And so then she agreed. She thought that wasn't okay, and that she thought, you know, society was too strict on feminine and male roles, which I was, you know, you know, like, wow, she's coming around or something. And she said, that she wanted me to be happy, and that who I was between me and God, and that if I presented a boy name and stuff, she would try to respect it and call me that. And I was shocked. I was like, what? Because, I mean, it's my birth mother. If there's anyone who has ever been the quickest to, like, reject me, it's been her. And, she agreed that she wishes that I had done this sooner. She said she agreed that, when I was little and I was being, told to repent, that I'm a sinner for liking girls and for being, more masculine, that the only thing that anyone really knew to call it was lesbian. People did, back when I was younger, you know, back in like the early 90s and stuff like that, they didn't really talk about transgender very much. I mean, even lesbian wasn't talked about until Ellen came out on her show. Like in the churches and everything, everybody was all in a tizzle fuzzle about it. And so that's the word they just instantly applied to me. And nobody really, nobody ever said, oh, transgender or anything like that. Like, I didn't even know men being, able to be transitioned from being a woman was a possibility until around like 23, 24, somewhere in there. Like, I didn't even know it existed because I grew up in such a religious, isolated way, and I don't think anybody really knew. And she said that she did agree that this fit much more than lesbian, and she wished that I would have stopped being a lesbian sooner and done this sooner. Which again, I'm like, I don't get it. I don't know if she's just gonna change her mind or something maybe in the future, but that's what she said, and she seemed like that's what she had decided about it. And my dad's saying, "Oh, I'm still processing," and she, I don't know, found some way to absorb it or whatever. Um, the person who's had the least supportive reaction is actually my baby brother, and I'm not super surprised. His wife is very strict and rigid and has gotten him into being, more religious and stuff. And then, he has contact with my birth mother a lot still and things like that and stuff. And gets influenced a lot, I think, by my parents in general and by his wife and stuff, that it's not okay to live more open like a lot of us siblings do to the world, um, and stuff. So I was expecting that, like, he did say that, his opinion was different than mine, but he would still respect whatever name I went with and stuff like that. And he hoped that it didn't cause us to isolate ourselves from each other. And then he wished we talked more. Um, he didn't call me brother, you know, but he, didn't say, yeah, this isn't acceptable either. He just said, you know, basically it doesn't matter if it's good for my physical health, it doesn't matter if it's good for my mental health. All he cares about is, the religious side of it. And, you know, again, I don't understand that reaction, but I wasn't not expecting it or whatever. Like, I knew that was coming. And, I mean, it's like, dude, did I get to pick how much testosterone my body produces? Did I get to pick that I have a boy mind? I mean, I was born with my body able to do this. I wasn't born like super feminine and girly and shit. Like, that wasn't me making a choice or whatever. But he was like, I'll respect what you choose. Which is less accepting than even my birth mother, which again, my birth mother, like, that knocked me for a loop. Because her initial reaction of, oh, I demand proof, was much more her MO. Like, it was like, but I talked about how I felt and stuff, and how hard it had been for me and stuff, and somewhere in that, I don't know. Um, I still have to tell a couple more siblings that are a lot older and a lot more conservative. And honestly, my oldest brother is whom I'm expecting to have the worst reaction um, out of my siblings. But I mean, I'm one of 10. I've got a lot of siblings. So I've got a couple more, but I've told all the ones that I'm closest with, except for my oldest brother. And I came out to a bunch more friends that I'm in guild with, in game and stuff. They were all completely supportive about it. And yeah, I, I, I mean, for the most part, I'm feeling pretty positive about it. Now, all my relatives and crap, they are not gonna accept it no matter what. And you know what? Screw that noise. I don't care. I have one aunt who will maybe talk to me about it besides the aunt I already talked to. Um, but the aunt I already talked to was the one who is on my birth mother's side that's kind of always been accepting of whatever. My father's side, literally one aunt might talk to me about it, and then every single aunt, uncle, cousin, everything, just gonna shut it down. Um, don't know if I should tell my grandmother myself or let my dad do it. I will talk to him about that some other point. But today is Mother's Day, and I'm not gonna ruin Mother's Day for anybody, you know. Um, I still super appreciate my mom's reaction. I still super appreciate, you know, all the siblings who have been super accepting. Like, some of my siblings didn't even need an explanation. They were just like, sweet, you know, just, I'm super glad that you're gonna finally be happy. My baby sister drew this image of me, and it was this like bunny who was super sad and had like tear stains going down their face, and I was half one color and half another color because I was half one way of life and half another way of life. And you know, I was my heart was all broken in my, and you could see my heart in my chest, all my pain and stuff, and I was just like very touched by that, because she drew that after I told her, and she said, you know, she was trying to draw how she saw my emotions and how she saw my personality and stuff. Um, and it was this very, you know, non-girl looking bunny. It was a very, it looked a little bit like the bunny from season 1 of The Masked Singer, except without the, you know, straight jacket. um, Interestingly, uh, which, you know, it was it's been a strangely mostly good experience. Um, and I don't care about whether or not the rest of my cousins and relatives and crap give a shit. Honestly, if everyone starts unfriending me on Facebook, if I socially transition on Facebook, it's gonna be like, whatevs. I haven't picked out a name yet, so I'm not doing that yet, but, um, I couldn't feel anything for the majority of yesterday. Like, my body had no sensation whatsoever. I was so completely dissociated from my emotions that I was also completely dissociated from, like, physical touch and stuff. So, her girlfriend helped me find touch again and find feeling again and sensation. And it still took a little while for the emotions to start coming in. And it's mostly just like, I feel like I'm like dreaming all of this, and that there's no way that this is real, and that there's that like fear. Well, what if somebody changes their mind, or what if somebody, I don't know, gets aggressive or something, or I don't even know. But the rest of me has like hope, and I have hoped very, very little in my life. I'm usually too pessimistic about the realities of the world to be hopeful. And like, I could just be sitting here just like I am right now, except me. It's it's such a foreign concept to think, and yet at the same time, I'm starting to genuinely feel like I could do this. Like, this could actually happen. It's not just like, it's really starting to sink in, and the shock's starting to fade off, and I actually feel a little bit positive, which is rare for me. Like, to feel genuinely positive, and I'm just like, it's gonna work out, and I'm not usually like that, and everybody else who is left that will probably reject me. If they reject me, I'm not even worried about it. I have so much more acceptance than I thought I was going to get, that it's like, I'm just grateful. Like, completely grateful. I did not think a single parent would be accepting, and I mean, the one's parent left it is technically not my parent. I mean, he's not a great person. Fuck him. Fuck whatever he thinks. I don't care what he thinks. What he thinks is completely never going to influence my life. So, at all. Like, somehow, and I mean, I thought I'd have one sibling or maybe two siblings who would accept me, and instead I have two, three, four, four siblings thus far who are flat out, 4 out of 10, who are flat out, yep, I'm pro this, that's awesome. And then, I have one sibling who is like, I'll respect it. I don't agree with it, but I'll respect it, and stuff. And, well, okay, 9 siblings. We're 10 kids, so of 9 siblings, um, you know, and then I have one sibling who just doesn't care, and he's like, shrugs. He's like, okay, whatever. We're not super close, so he doesn't care one way or the other. He's like, alright, I guess I'll call you a boy. It's not a big deal. To him, it's a big deal to me. Um, and then my last 3 siblings, I have almost no contact with 2 of them, like at all. I didn't even know if I should tell them really, because like, we have almost no contact, but I guess I should, just so they're aware of it. But I mean, and then my big bro, if he rejects me, that still is like so much more family than I thought I would have. when I socially transitioned. I haven't even started medically transitioning yet. Like, and I am scared of that, so I'm still, I mean, I'm scared of doctors. There's no way around that. I am scared of doctors. But at the same time, I didn't think I would have any support really going into it except for a couple of people. And that's not true. People are setting aside some of their you know, religious strictness because I think it helps that I already produce more testosterone. I think genuinely this helps. Um, I think it helps that, I've always been masculine. I think it would be harder if I hadn't always been that way. But at the same time, it still was unexpected. Like, I genuinely just was like, this is why I don't think trans people should be so defensive about it and so like in your face about it and be like aggressive and crap about, oh well, if you don't accept me instantly exactly the way I want you to, you're cut off. Like, I've met so many that are like that, and it's just like, and they advise other trans people to be that way, and it's like, give people a chance because people aren't inherently like malicious for the most part. There are some people who are, but they're much fewer than the majority of people who just want to live and exist and be. And the majority of people are like just people. They're human with human thresholds of understanding and patience, and sometimes it takes them, a 2 hour conversation to get there, but they can get there. And give them the 2 hour conversation, even though it's hard, because you don't have to cut as many people out of your life as you think you do. This is far better than I had hoped for. Like, only losing like a little bit of family. I again, I thought it was going to be 2 to 3 people, and I was losing the rest, and it's not. And maybe my dad will change his mind. I mean, there is absolutely still that possibility. If he talks to my grandmother and stuff, and she's unaccepting of it and everything, there is that possibility. I don't think my mom would let him keep me from coming to family stuff. And my mom was so accepting. And my birth mother, maybe she'll change her mind. But I weirdly don't know if I think so. Because I think somehow she got to a place where she could process it. And I don't know how that happened. I don't know where that happened because she kept saying, "Oh, I don't understand this. Oh, things like that are just a choice." Like, she was so, again, just defensive at first and stuff. But it's like, I don't know. I just, it means a lot to me. Like, she ain't thrilled, but she's not, like, damning me. She's not, praying for my soul. The way that she was when I came out as a lesbian. When I came out as a lesbian, everyone freaked the fuck out. I mean, it was awful. People, like, the last time she ever tried to beat me was when I came out as a lesbian. Ruined Christmas. Her husband had to drag her, pull her away from me because she was trying to, like, and my dad, you know, he was so devastated when I came out as a lesbian, like, and it's just like, this makes more sense to everybody. And they're way more accepting of it. And, you know, again, I came out as a lesbian when I was 19, so it's been some years. And maybe over the years they've gotten a little less rigid about things or something in their belief systems, but I don't think that's what it is. I think that this makes a lot more sense to them than me being a lesbian. I think I think they all, whether they spiritually would necessarily prefer it or not, all agree, and that's really, I don't know, affirming or whatever. You know, people who've known you your whole life, for good or for bad, you know, universally across the board, being like, I mean, it makes sense. Even my baby brother was like, yeah, I'm not really surprised, you know, by this. Nobody is surprised that I'm a boy. I don't know, I guess it's kind of nice. I mean, I've doubted it before. I've been like, oh God, what if I'm not a boy? But I am. I'm just, and I came to terms with that I am a man, and that it's okay to be a man, that I can be a good man. And everybody else is like, oh yeah, this makes sense. This explains a lot. And it's just like, I don't know, put a smile on my face. Something. My brother closest in age to me, he was all like, you know, it doesn't surprise me that you were throwing your laugh because your laugh always sounded forced to me. And I was just like, you know, he's like, you know, it was very easy and natural for him once he knew how I felt, you know. And some people want more the, oh, explain being trans to me thing, and some people want the more, oh, explain how you feel thing to me, and some people just want both. And then some people want some time to process and stuff, like my father, you know. But yeah, it's still so much more positive of a reaction than I was expecting from all these folk. It's just been conversation after conversation, and again, every single friend, like from the guild and stuff, even people who aren't like my close personal friends, but just, you know, like my buddies from like guild and stuff, they all, every single one of them, whether they're a girl or a boy, has all been like, that's awesome, you know, like, that's great. And I was like, I'm not gonna change it all, you know, and stuff, because I've, you know, I'm not, my personality is not changing and nothing, but I already had such, you know, like masculine, like, ways, My spouse was joking that I'm always trying to fix things. She can't just tell me something and like me say, "Oh yeah, I understand" or whatever. I'm always like, "Fix it." And she's like, "That's such a guy thing to do. That's why I always want to talk to my friends about my problems cuz I want to vent." And I say something and you're immediately like, "Okay, well here. This is what we can do about it. Let's make this better." And she's like, "That's not what I want." She's like, "You're always doing that." And it's just like naturally what I think of though is, well, if it's a problem, let's make it not a problem. So let's try not to have it recur again. Like to me that makes logical sense, but apparently that's a very guy way of thinking of it. I don't know. But she was like, if you go look in the like men are from Mars and women are from Venus or whatever that book is, she's like, that's one of the things in there. And I was like, is it? Never read it. I know it exists. I know it's a book, but you know, it still is going to be months before I start medically transitioning. But at the same time, it's like I'm kind of looking forward to it. Like I'm kind of not looking forward to the doctors. No. And I'm not looking forward to the pain and the recovery time or like risk of complications. I am not looking forward to breaking out in acne. Not at all. But I'm looking forward to being more me. I every day I'm supposed to try to look at myself in the mirror a little bit for just a couple of seconds, and it's like it's very uncomfortable. I have a hard time with it, but I was looking in the mirror, and I've discovered that if I leave the light off, that I can see less details and I can just see the major features and stuff. And I'm a lot more comfortable with that because when I look at myself like that, I do look more like it's a dude standing there. Like I can see the hairline and I can see the eyes and like the nose and the mouth and the beard, and then I can't really see a lot of the other stuff, and it's like, hey, I don't know, it's a little easier. And like this morning I was like, dang, my beard is getting long. Like I've only been letting it grow out a month, and it's like look at how long that beard is. I'm getting like this side's curling in for some reason, so sticking out, but like, and it's getting thicker and fuller down in here. And I have such coarse beard hairs. Like some people apparently when their hairs first start growing in, it's fine hair or whatever, but I have some serious rough scruff going on here. Um but like I'm happy with that. Like I'm grateful cuz I know there's so many trans dudes like they can't even grow facial hair for like a year or two, even after they get on testosterone. Like, like it can take a little while for a lot of guys. I haven't even taken any yet. And, here I am. And, unfortunately, can't do anything about how thin my eyebrows are. I have really long eyelashes, but they're like blonde eyelashes, so that helps a little bit, but mostly I just want like a bit more broad-shouldered thing going on and stuff. It's not as much stuff in my face, although I would like my face structure to be a little better. But I mean, having the shorter hair and the hairline that I have and this beard helps a lot. Like it really does. It helps significantly with like in the last month I have had an easier time looking at myself than I've ever had in my entire life. Letting this grow out and stuff. So still trying to exercise some. With coming out to everybody, my exercise routine has kind of gone to crap. I think I exercised for maybe like 15, 20 minutes yesterday, and then that's it. Like, I kind of, that's dropping off by the wayside somewhat, but at the same time, like, this is really important. And I know a lot of people. I'm related to a lot of people, so it's time consuming. Um, like, even with my baby brother, it was still an hour long phone call. Like, it's, it's a lot, but at the same time, it's, it's definitely worth it, and it's definitely important. And I didn't mean for it to be that I came out over Mother's Day weekend, but my mom started it, and I gave her the option to wait, and she didn't want to wait. She wanted to know. So that's sort of just how the timing worked out. And, I'm trying to do this while traveling, while not being home, while being over here at this, you know, school apartments that are basically a lot like dorms. But at the same time, it's like, this is when the time was right, apparently. So, doing my best. And it's somehow working out. Positive feelings. Anyway, I really wanted to capture that positivity in case, a hammer does fall, or, you know, I do shut down again or something, more than I mean, I'm already semi shut down, but, like, if I get back to a place where I can't feel anything again, I wanna have something where I could see that I was feeling positive. Like, that helps me. I'm very visual. I've always been very, very visual. So, yeah. It's been good. Surprisingly good.